What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Expected Bets. For today's, we'll be breaking down the games for November 2nd. A bunch of games tomorrow, I think 11 or so, if I remember correctly here. We'll go over a few key matchups, but before we do that, let's bring in the rest of the crew. Betzky, I'll start with you here. I don't want to talk to Franco quite yet, so...
Yeah, we're recording this on Wednesday, November 1st, and the Buffalo Sabres and Philadelphia Flyers have already started playing against each other, and Smelladelphia got the first one early.
Yeah,
but doing all right over here otherwise, but yeah, we'll see how you two handle the rest of the show.
Yeah, you get your sweat later on tonight, and then we'll break down Arizona's matchup tomorrow as well. Franco,
Yep.
How we doing? You're up 1-0 so far, 1 minute into the game, so you got to be feeling pretty good over there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat scoring a goal on your first shot of the game. So, I mean, that's about as good as it gets right there. I'm loving it.
Yeah, if you had Yoki Haru over a goal tonight, congrats, you cashed. It's a great pick. I mean, yeah, it's nice to see Philly kind of winning after what happened in the World Series. Yeah, Betzky, how are you doing, too, about the World Series?
Well, the first two games were fantastic, but last night was a little brutal. I mean, they came back in garbage time, I guess, but gotta get it
over it. Easy over.
Yeah,
whoever took that. Yeah.
Gosh.
Big night for them tonight. They got a must-win game. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Can they do 3 in a row again?
Yeah. Should be a good one. All right, let's get into tomorrow's matchups here. First kind of big one on the slate. We got Florida traveling to Detroit here. Florida minus 115, road favorite. Detroit minus 105. Over under set at 6.5, minus 125 to the over here. Detroit's had a strong start to the season here. They're 6-3-1, 3-1-1 at home here. Florida coming off an OT loss to Boston where they blew a 2-goal lead here. Kind of the reversal of fortunes from last year's Game 7 in the playoffs. So a little karma here. Kind of what we saw to start the year here. Prior to that, they went 2-1 on a 3-game West Coast road trip here. Detroit finally stopped their 3-game losing streak in their last matchup, defeating the Islanders 4-3 in OT here. Interesting matchup. I kind of like Florida in this rebound spot personally. Detroit has been playing well. They've been great at home here. But Florida 5th in shots per game. Detroit 21st, so a little angle there for your shots on goal targets. But I'll start with you here, Franco. Any looks in Florida, Detroit?
Yeah, so right off the bat, you have to look at Reinhart's shots. I know he's been scorching hot. I'm sure everybody is going to be betting him tomorrow.
Is he out, though? Was he out today, or?
Bennett last morning skate.
Bennett, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Bennett. Okay.
He's been kind of coming it back. But yeah, Reinhardt's been smoking hot. He's been scoring a goal every game. So like there's no reason to get off that wagon, and his shot prop 2.5. I'm sure it's going to be juice. So it's probably going to have to be a piece, but you have to look there, especially with what you said, as far as Detroit allowing, I believe, was it 34 shots a game towards the top of the league. 31 shots a game. They're ranked like 12th. And obviously Florida is Florida, as they always are with their shot volume. So the other angle I really like in this game actually is going to be a Detroit power play point prop. So I kind of want to see how the lines are going to shake out, make sure there's no changes or anything like that. If there are, that would be something I would definitely hop on if somebody moves up to the top power play or something in practice. But Florida is the worst penalty kill in the entire league, 32nd ranked, 67.9%. And they're kind of middle of the pack as far as opportunities given up. But Detroit is ranked 4th in the league, 32% on the power play. So great spot for them. If they get any kind of man advantage, I'm expecting them to cash in. So I'll load those lines tomorrow, see who's popping out to me, and if there's any changes. And I'll be definitely looking for something there.
Yeah, for sure. 1-1, by the way. If you didn't catch that one, Betzky, any looks for you here in Florida, Detroit? I like that power play look though, Franco, for sure.
Yeah, Franco took my power play look. Yeah, especially because you got a really good top unit. You got reliable guys on it with Larkin and DeBrincat, and I mean it's kind of a nice little angle there. Florida's been playing really well, and they're still missing Ekblad and Montour, and only had Sam Bennett for one game. Those are 3 keys to the cog. It makes me a little nervous on leaning on the over here because I'm sure it will be 6.5 when it opens.
Yeah, it's 6.5 right now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Both of these teams are able to they're both able to score at will. We know that. But both have been playing some pretty tough games. I think Detroit's been on the over for the majority of their games. I think Florida's leaned on the under, if I'm correct. It may be a sneaky spot for a Florida team total, depending on what you get and kind of where you lean on this game. Otherwise, Reinhart, been fantastic. I'm going to kind of hold off on Barkov's shots. I think he's warming up, though, because he had a big game against the Bruins, but I want to see if Bennett's going to be back in. I think you really kind of hit all the main points, Franco. Still my thunder, and I even got the Ice Cat shirt on.
Yeah, something else to note, too, is Florida has historically dominated this matchup. They've won the last 9 versus Detroit as well, too, which is kind of crazy. But you're right about that. Detroit is 7-3 to the over. Florida is 3-5 to the under. So right on with that. Moving along here, Carolina, even money versus at the New York Rangers, -120, over under 5.5. We finally see another 5.5 here. Seems like it's consistently 6.5. Got a few 7s on the board tomorrow. Both teams kind of had an up and down start to the season here, but both coming to this matchup on winning streaks here. Carolina, 3-game winning streak. New York, 5-game winning streak here. Panarin's just been red hot for this team. The Rangers, 9-game point streak, 15 points. I mean, he has been absolutely otherworldly for this squad. This is a tough one, too, because it feels like, obviously, I kept trying to bet on Carolina to start the season, and they just kept getting beaten. It was just letdown spot after letdown spot. You could never catch them kind of on a good night here. Seems like this might be a decent price to target them versus New York here. They've struggled, but it seems like they've kind of found their grooves. They don't mind them at plus money, which might be, if their kind of hot streak continues, one of the last times we'll see him at this price. Franco, Betzky, I'll start with you here.
I'm leaning Rangers here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they just are. They had a fantastic road trip. They've been playing good both at home and away. This is only going to be their 3rd home game as well. So I guess technically they've split their homes. I think returning off a big road trip, a lot of times teams can be a little tired, kind of come out slow. But since it's the beginning of the season and it's only their 3rd game at home, I really think they're going to be coming out feeling really good about themselves. And speaking of Panarin, at what point does it feel right to sprinkle Hart? I mean,
do you know what his odds are right now?
I don't. It's got to be great because I haven't looked for over a week now or so, and Hughes was like still plus
points. 15 points in 9 games.
Yeah,
35-1. That seems like now's the time to sprinkle if you're gonna.
I agree. If McDavid has a nagging injury, you gotta worry about him. And the Oilers just don't look quite yet, even though they won the Heritage Classic, but I'm sure we'll talk about them later. But he's been phenomenal. Zibanejad shots have been great. I am probably going to back off them tomorrow, though. He was trying to get his first goal for a while there, and that I think he had 6 games where he hit his shot on goal prop, and then he finally scored on that 6-1, and then he hit on the game after as well. But I'm still a little leery of him against a team that can tighten things up. If I'm looking at points, this may be where I'm going to start to find some extra value on the New York side. Panarin's obviously more of a parlay piece at this point. So Trouba's always been a guy to kind of lean on at home. So he may be somebody I'm going to look for a point, or even if shots on goal if they give us 2.5. On the Carolina side, Necas is the road warrior there, but Rangers have really tightened things up, and I'm kind of wanting to see how everything plays out with Shevnikov in the lineup. So I'm probably going to just kind of lean on maybe totals and sides and maybe a little bit of those gem type props like Trouba here.
Yeah, that's a good call too. Carolina first in shots on goal allowed per game. Carolina second in shots allowed per game. So both teams pretty tight there. So obviously probably not the game to target shots on goal tomorrow. Franco, any looks for you in this game?
So I want to back the Rangers, but it's one of those spots that you just can't back a team off of that, right? It's 5-game road trip. They swept it, and they're coming home. That's always a bet against spot. It's just, at least historically, right? Like,
Yes.
it's difficult to come back home. You're feeling happy. You're feeling good. You crush that road trip, and you just kind of get lax.
Anaheim tonight.
I really like the Yotes tonight. That's why one of the reasons why I'm looking that way. But I mean, we saw it with Toronto yesterday as well against the Kings. They had nothing. They had plenty of opportunities, power play chances, and they just looked awful. So hard to back an over, hard to back the Rangers for a full game for money line or anything like that. But I still have to look at Panarin points or assist here. It's just been too good for me, and I think honestly you're probably going to get maybe some value because of the matchup. You're seeing a total of 5.5. I'm assuming all the props are going to come down a little bit than what you would normally see them at. So obviously you're not going to be able to ask points straight, but his assist prop is worth a look for sure. Oddly enough, though, he actually in his last 3 years against them, he has 6 goals in 8 games. Only 3 assists. So actually it's been Zibanejad who's had the assists. He's got 7 in 8 games, only 3 goals. So maybe something to kind of look at there as well. Maybe you shift off, maybe you go Panarin goal because he has been scoring as well. The other thing I'm looking at, though, is, again, the power play angle. Rangers power play has, at least historically, been pretty good. And, again, this year, 34%, which is just ridiculous. The Carolina penalty kill is ranked towards the bottom, 24th, 75%. And we know that they're giving up a ton. They're ranked 7th. They're giving up 4 penalties, power play opportunities per game. So, again, if you want to get off of the straight point props or something like that, you could probably get Panarin close to even money for a power play point. Same for Zibanejad. Maybe look for Fox, something like that as well for a little bit more value. But I don't want to hit any Carolina props just because of how stingy the Rangers have been defensively. They're towards the bottom in goals against, shots against. There's just nothing there for me, even with the spot being a Carolina spot.
Yeah, you mentioned Fox too, and he's on a 4-game point streak right now. He's got 6 in that 4. So that could be a decent assist look too, because he's got 2 goals, 4 assists out of those 6 points. So another angle there. I'm not sure what his matchup history is, but I like that. Next game up on the slate, LA traveling to Ottawa. Another road favorite here. Los Angeles minus 115 on the money line. Total is 7. Juice the over plus 110 though. Not as high as we've usually seen though. Usually you get the 7 number for the total, plus 130, plus 125-ish. Only plus 110 in this matchup. LA coming off a 4-1 win against Toronto. 2 guys you got to mention, obviously, Fiala, 12 points in his last 8 games. Kempe, 6 points in his last 4 games here. Ottawa, though, coming off a good win against Pittsburgh, snapping their 3-game losing streak. And then, obviously, Betzky, your guy, Chikrin, 4-game point streak with 2-2. Don't really have any plays in this one. This should be just one of the better games, I think, to watch. I'll start with you here, Franco. Any looks in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably look towards the over here just because of these 2 teams. I like their offenses. I don't love their goaltending to start the year. I feel like both have kind of tightened up a little bit recently, so maybe kind of lukewarm on that. But I think really the 2 looks that I like the best are going to be Fiala assist and Stützle assist. Can't get either of them for a point straight typically, so probably look at the assist angle. I do expect goals to be scored to some extent here, and both have been red hot. Both have good histories against the teams they're playing. And it's funny, every time I go look at there's this one site that has kind of like the last 3 years for player history against the team. Giroux is always there. Like he's always has an assist per game or point per game against literally every team, and so it's always looks good no matter what. So he's always on the board for me no matter what. It's just whether I decide to play him or not. But it's crazy how I guess just because he's been in the league so long, how productive he's been.
Yeah, Betzky, any looks for you in this one? I like the Fiala assist. 11 assists in his last 12 points. So
yeah, he's been a beast, and that's the only way to get value. I mean, you can't do
point.
There's no doing a
you
point.
You can't play his point. Yeah, you just got to pick an assist, which I like it. All right, Betzky, didn't mean to skip you there. Any plays in this one?
Yeah, I definitely like the over here too. These are two probably the best offenses in the league. Kempe's really heated up. So he started off very slow to start the year. He's really starting to hit his shot prop, which, gosh, I think at one point was back down to 2.5. It'll be interesting to see if it opens at 3.5 tomorrow. But if it does, you're probably going to get a lot of plus value on that. That may be something I lean into. Both of these teams are kind of middle of the road with power play opportunities given to the opponent. So we should see quite a few power plays, at least, a couple from each team or so. Brady's been electric to start the year. It's hard to not want to just keep riding that train, especially at home. Both of these teams are fairly decent at shot. I think the only thing I noticed that really stood out for me was that the Kings are top 10 against shots on goal Ottawa is top 10 for shots on goal allowed by defensemen. The defenders for Ottawa have been a little bit tough to predict just because one night can kind of be a Chikrin night. The other night can be kind of a Chabot night, but Chabot's been pretty consistent as of late too for his shots, but it looks like LA's a little stingy against the defense. So
yeah, no, agree wholeheartedly there. Next game on the slate, Toronto plus 105, traveling to Boston, minus 125 on the money line, over under set at 6, split both ways. Boston 8-1 to start the year. Just absolutely incredible. Like I said, coming off a win in their last game. Pavel Zacha, 4-game point streak, who we doubted to be a number one center, has started to play like it. Obviously, I think his line mates have helped. With kind of Pasternak on that top line, I think he's kind of a big contributor to Zacha's success. It's hard to put anyone really there and kind of have a bad year, it feels like, with him. On the opposite side of that, Nylander, been absolutely phenomenal for Toronto this season. 9-game point streak, 13 points. I think it's the longest streak since the season opener in Toronto Maple Leafs history, which is pretty cool for him. So like the other day,
didn't Marner have an insane streak? But this one's since the season opener.
Since the season opener, gotcha. I believe I saw. Yeah, because you're right. Cool. Marner did. I think it was last year.
Yeah, like 18 games or something.
Yeah. Should be probably the best game. One of them on tomorrow's slate here. Picking a side in this one's tough, obviously, but I do lean Boston this matchup at home. I'll throw it to you here, Betzky. Any plays in this one?
I'm going to go with Toronto on this one. Toronto's been really up and down. It seems like they bounce back every time they lose, and they kind of bounce back in a big way. So I kind of want to see Toronto give Boston their first regulation loss, or at least make it a tight game. I guess, first regulation loss. They've only lost once in overtime. I had to double check that. I don't know how many props I'm going to lean. These outside of Nylander's shots on goal, Austin Matthews has been really up and down. Tavares has been really up and down, and he doesn't have like a defined road or home split, kind of like he did last season.
Yeah.
Costa has been a lot less consistent. or at least it feels that way for me. I may just kind of lean on that Toronto money line and just try to enjoy the game. Maybe even sprinkle that Toronto regulation win too.
Yeah, looking at the total here too is tough because both these teams, Toronto's 2-6 to the under, Boston's 2-7 to the under here. But you look at Toronto's expected goaltender and Ilya Samsonov here, who's allowed 3-3 in his last 2 games here, both minus goals saved above expected in those matchups. Allmark's been pretty good. 2-4, I guess, goals against his last 2 games, so not really. But this would be a tough one. Interesting enough, the totals started at 6 and it's then shifted to 5.5 within the past hour. So head in that direction here. Franco, any looks in this game for you?
I'm probably going to stay off in general for this one, but I feel like when you see these totals shift down or when they go to 5.5, it's almost like you have to bet the over just because
the possibility,
and
talent.
Exactly. Especially with these two teams. And it just seems like when it's 5.5, it sails over. And then when you're trying to hit these 6.5s in a game that you think looks like a great over spot, that's when you see that 2-1 type game. So I don't know. I think probably if you were to bet every 5.5 long term, you're probably going to be profitable just in general. So something to think about. When I was looking at history, though, I saw that Matthews actually has 6 goals in the last 5 games against Boston.
Interesting.
Marner with 8 assists in the last 6. So definitely interesting to look at for me there. So he's kind of been quieter, Matthews, I guess, on the goal side, at least relatively to his standards. So no goals in his last 3 games. So I might consider that. And if we're getting better value than your typical number on him, I know he's usually around even. Hopefully, maybe we're going to see something a little nicer since given the matchup here. Same for the Marner assists. I mean, I know last year was bettable, and I looked at it a couple of games ago. It was like minus 180, minus 190 or something just for an assist for Marner. So if either of those look decent, if I can get Marner assist at like minus 120 or something like that, I'll probably hit that.
No, I think that's fair too. Next game on the slate, New Jersey traveling to Minnesota. New Jersey, another road favorite in this one, minus 125. Over under set 6.5. Juice to the over. These teams just played on Sunday. New Jersey just defeated Minnesota. That's the last game that they played. Franco, I know we talked about this kind of theory of if teams play back-to-back, you kind of just reverse it. Taking Team A 1, you take Team B. Minnesota at home, plus 105. Going to be on that one for sure here. In terms of the total, I'm going to stay away. New Jersey I would lean the under, but New Jersey's been so good. Every single game they played this season has gone over. And I don't know if it stops now. Betzky, I'll start with you here in this one. Any looks here? Obviously, you got to look at Brattenmeyer on New Jersey side, but any other player props that you're kind of targeting in this one?
Yeah, and real quickly with the Minnesota side of things, the goaltending's been real shaky.
Awful.
So, oh man. So I would definitely lean the over here too. I mean, it's a little scary though because we've seen Minnesota of seasons past been able to shut things down real quick, but man, it's been a roller coaster start for Minnesota. One thing that really stood out for me is Hamilton shots right now. It's at 2.5. He was in that 3.5 range for parts of the last season. Minnesota is allowing the 10th most shots on goal to defensemen. So that may be an area I'm going to lean into. Their power play their penalty kill is awful as well. I believe they're
second to last.
Yep. So any of those power play points will be pretty interesting from some of those big guys. So maybe again, you could sprinkle on Hamilton. He really gets involved on the power play. Obviously Hughes, that top line. I think Hughes has I forget how many point total he has right now, but at least 80% of that was from the power play. So that may be a nice way to get him for 1 point instead of over 1.5. And then Toffoli shots have just been insane lately. He's really kind of played that role we all thought Timo was going to bring to this team as kind of the trigger man, but he's doing it online with Jack Hughes, and they are just plummeting pucks on tenders.
Agreed. Franco, any looks in this one?
So just to clarify or to point out for what you said, Betzky, 10 power play points of Hughes's 18 total points.
Okay,
so
so it's
pretty good.
Yeah.
The 5-on-5 is actually creeping up because the last time I checked, it was a
Yeah.
couple of games ago, mind you. I think he only had like 2 even strength points or
Yeah,
something
that's
insane like that.
That's crazy.
Just to look too, Bratt has 10 power play points of his 14, so he's been doing
Wow. Yeah.
on power play. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of stole my thunder this time on the power play points. But, Jersey ranks first, man. I mean, 42%. I mean, the Rangers were 34%. They're hitting it nearly 50% on the power play. It's insane. And you're gonna give me this Minnesota 67% penalty kill. I mean, they're not giving up a ton of penalties per game. They're hovering around 3. But I mean, they scored 2 in the last game, 2 power play goals the last game. So, I mean, I'm going to be looking at all the guys. One thing to note is Luke Hughes has actually been the power play 1 guy the last 2 or 3 games, I believe, over Hamilton. So he's been on the ice for the goals the last 2 games. So 2 power play points the last game. And he's going to probably be your best value as far as the other guys go. So just something to consider there. I love Toffoli goal. Again, I bet him in that last matchup, and he scored. So probably going to come right back to him. 7 goals on the year in 8 games. 6 goals in 8 games against Minnesota the last 3 years. So like that look a lot just as a straight, and definitely going to be looking at those power play points. It's crazy. I was so high on Gustafsson, and we're seeing it again. I mean, it's the year to year with goalies. You cannot take anything for granted at all. And it looked like he was going to be that next guy that was going to step into that next level, and he's been just awful to start the year. I know it's early, but it's disappointing. I was really high on him this year.
Yeah, another thing too I wanted to ask you guys. Obviously, kind of the last few years, player props become more popular, but it feels like this year power play points has been kind of the new emphasis. But it feels like we've talked about them more on this podcast than really last year, kind of years prior. Are you guys noticing the same thing? Because usually shots on goal, they take some forward, take some away, but power play points are straight up, and it still offers you that value.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I mean, I've kind of voiced this to you guys a few times. Like shot on goal props for me, I seem to just always get the raw deal on those whenever I bet them. I see everybody cashing them and having a great time, and I'm like, oh, this looks like a good one. And then Philip Forsberg has 0 shots on goal yesterday. How's that even possible? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of unless you're watching every single game, you're never going to truly know when you see, oh, this guy is 2 in the first period, and then it's the second period, and now he's back down to 1. Like, unless you're analyzing every single shot and you can get the angles and all that stuff, you cannot 100% confirm whether that was going on net or whatever, especially if it's an insignificant shot in the middle of the second period that doesn't affect the game. Yeah. Whereas point props, you know exactly what happened. Like, I see right winger passed it back to the point man shot it, and it went in the net. I know my right winger got that assist. I'm good. There's my point prop. There's no, every now and then there's deflections and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's very straightforward. So I've been more a point prop better in general the last year and a half or so. But again, you're getting more points or more better numbers when you're doing power play points. So I think that's why everybody's looking to try to gain a little bit more value, especially when you're seeing guys like minus 160 for a point, minus 150 for a point.
Agreed. All right, here, moving along, Dallas at Edmonton. Edmonton minus 130 on the money line. Dallas plus 110, over under set at 6.5. Juice to the over here. Edmonton coming off a win in that Heritage Classic, like we mentioned about. McDavid makes his return. Dallas is playing tonight, so they're going to be on a back-to-back here, but they have won 4 of their last 5, obviously excluding tonight here. Interesting line in this one, because it feels like, is Edmonton kind of trending in the right direction, or can Dallas kind of rebound after a back-to-back And as we mentioned too before, Franco or Betzky, both goaltenders seem to be playing pretty well for Dallas as well. So it's not really a concern for them. I'll start with you then, Betzky. Any plays in this one?
I will want to see how Dallas plays tonight. I'm actually a little bit worried about the Flames, who have lost 5 in a row and are at home and could be really hungry. If this is one of those games where Dallas just kind of sails through, then I may lean on the Edmonton side and for the over. If this is a tight fought game and Dallas loses 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that, then I may lean on the Dallas end, maybe with an over at that point. The Dallas team for props has been a little bit tricky lately. Hintz has been great, but of course his points and shots are a little bit juiced, so that's going to have to be more of a parlay piece. Last year you were able to cash in a lot with kind of those secondary options. So Ben and Sagan really kind of came back to form and kind of stayed in that minus 120 to even money area. Wyatt Johnston really was starting to come out. And this year, it hasn't felt quite the same. The Duchesne-Sagan line kind of started off hot, and that's kind of fizzled out a little bit. I think Pavelski may even be on it now, but I would need to triple check that. Pavelski started off a little bit up and down, especially on the shots on goal front. So I'll probably be leaning into the Edmonton side for shots, which is kind of surprising because Dallas used to be so good at suppressing them. But this year, they've got some positions that are in the top 10, like right wing and center. And we know those are two great spots for Edmonton players because we have McDavid and Dry right down the middle. Hyman's been really good at home. He plays at right wing usually. So we'll have some options here. And then Bouchard has been fantastic all season for shots on goal. And that's probably an area I'm going to lean in as well for a probably tired Dallas team.
Yeah. Franco, any looks for you here?
I'm probably gonna. I really want to see how Dallas looks tonight. Kind of what you said. I think that's the main thing. If this is a tight game, like 2-2 going in the third period, Dallas is working. It's difficult. You know, the Flames they have not been, but they can be a team that is pesky to play and physical as well. So they're getting Rasmus Anderson back tonight too. So I think that's going to help them out a lot. But yeah, I want to see where they're at after this game. Wyatt Johnston's kind of picked it up. He was really kind of just ho-hum after. I really expected a breakout out of him this year. But the last 4 games, he's got 3 goals, 3 assists. So kind of stepping it up. Not really a shot on goal type of guy at this point in the season as far as that goes, but for him at least. Yeah, it is interesting that you said that though about Dallas. They're kind of like middle of the pack, giving up shots this year, and they've never been a team that you would typically target. So probably look on the Edmonton side for shots for sure. I'm gonna probably look at Bouchard point or assist here in this game as well.
Back to the well.
Yeah, I mean, why get off it, right?
Yeah,
at this point,
in the Heritage, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's been awesome, and if his point's bettable, which I think it likely will be with this matchup that at least on paper looks like a tougher matchup with Dallas, I'll definitely hit it straight. If not, I'll probably go to the assist prop. I know I got burned on it the other day because he scored, but
it has to happen at some point.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I'll take it most times. And in reality, like, he's second on the team in points with tied with Hyman and McDavid. I mean, Draisaitl's got 13, Bouchard's tied with 9. So he's been awesome to start the year. Everything we kind of thought he would be coming into the season, taking that next step kind of, and leading that first unit for the power play and being productive as well. I mean, only 5 of the 9 points have been power play points. So I know we've joked in the past about Edmonton just being power play merchants and all that fun stuff, but yeah, I mean, I wonder if that game for them the other day is like the turnaround now. We'll see. I mean, McDavid comes back early from the injury.
Looked all right.
They looked good. I mean, they dominated that game from start to finish.
Yeah.
And maybe now they have a little bit more confidence, and you're getting this potentially tired Stars team. So we'll see.
Yeah, it was interesting that game too. You looked at the shots and it was relatively close, but if you watch any piece of that game, Edmonton was just all over him. I think for a 3-minute span, they outshot him 11-0. Just dominated them in that game. You mentioned Wyatt Johnston too. His point total, you get him tonight at plus money. He's hitting, like you said before, 3 of his last 4. Certainly may not be a bad look in that one. Just another piece there. Moving along here, Montreal at Arizona. Arizona playing tonight. Betzky, Montreal coming off an overtime loss against the Golden Knights, but they've been red hot. They've won 4 of their last 6. They look really good, this young team. Arizona ended their 2-game losing streak against Chicago in the last one, just dominating them 8-1 in that one. Sure, that was a fun one to watch here. I'll start with you. I think obviously you're going to look Keller, you're going to look Dursey for kind of shots on goal. They've been kind of their 2 main ones, but any other guys that you really like in this matchup?
Yeah, and real quickly to clarify, Pavelski is still on the top line for Dallas, so just want to make sure that that's clear. But Hayton, man, you're getting his shots on goal for a really good value. I mean, you're not seeing that creep up higher than minus 120 or so. Montreal give up a slew of shots to centers. Last time I checked, they were giving up the most to centers. Yep, still there. And shockingly, for a guy who plays in between Keller and Schmaltz, who have 8 points already on this season, Hayton doesn't have a single point yet.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's helping deflect pucks, getting pucks on net. He's screening the goalie all the time. He's doing everything right, and he's just not getting rewarded. He may be somebody that will be really tasty for a point prop as well. Maybe even sprinkle that goal point or a goal. A goal. But yeah, I feel at some point the well has to break for this kid. Last season, he started off really slow as well, and then really just started becoming the force near the end of the season. Jersey's been unbelievable too. 7 points in 8 games. That's a defenseman already. I took his point tonight for plus 115. I couldn't believe it's plus money.
I'm likely on that one too, man.
Against Anaheim of all teams. Yeah, that's crazy.
No, Anaheim's been pretty tough.
Good, but
yeah, no, I hear you. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm going to lean on my Yotes side of things here. I'm not going to expect the bottom 6 to put up 8 goals again and get 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks between 2 forwards in that grouping. So Michelli, also a name that you can get lots of good value on a point. And power play points may be a spot to kind of target here. Franco, I don't want to step on your feet if you want to highlight that.
Nah, go for it, man.
I mean, Michelli too. 6 points in the last 5 games.
He's been great.
5 assists. You can look at his assist prop.
Exactly. In Arizona, it's shockingly top 10 power play unit. They're hitting at around a 26% clip rate.
They've been awesome.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. So Michelli, power play point may be a good look, especially if he's still on that top unit. Maybe even dabble in like a Cooley one as well. I don't know. The kid's got to get going too. And Montreal, yeah, they've been tough, but those games generally go over. So both teams may have 3 goals. Let's just put it that way.
You mentioned the over too, and that's what I wanted to bring up next. That's plus money right now at 6.5.
At 6.5. Huh.
There will be goals.
Yeah.
That was my exact thing. I was doing some more research, but Franco, any plays in this one for you?
Yeah, so a couple things to clarify. Actually, Michelli's on the second power play unit, and at least the last few games, he's that second power play unit's been more productive than the first one, believe it or not. So just something to think about. They scored the last game. Obviously, Keller Schmaltz got blanked the last game. I'm expecting them to have a big night tonight, but
yeah.
Michelli power play point is usually around like plus 600 or something like that because he's on that second one. So just something to consider with how productive that second unit's been. Definitely worth a look there. I want to see a guy like I'm likely going to be on tonight is McBain goal. He's got a goal in 3 straight. If he scores again tonight, I'll be on him again tomorrow, and I'll probably be sprinkling Carcone as well. same thing. I feel like when these guys get hot, like you just ride it, right? Like they're not big name guys. You're getting insane value. So if either of them score tonight after that last game they had, I'll likely be on them again tomorrow. So definitely there. Keller shots looks good as it always does. I know he's usually around 2.5 juice, so I'm looking right there, and I just think him and Reinhart is the perfect combo tomorrow. Both of them likely going to be -160 or worse at 2.5. So you put those two together, that looks pretty nice.
Throw in a Panarin point while you're at it.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell, right?
Jeez.
I mean, there's plenty of point props that you can do if you don't want to do 2-shot props. I know I've like I said, I've had my struggles with them, so maybe I'll split them up like that. But another look too is Mr. Cole Caulfield. I know he has not been that great as a scorer to start the year, only 4 goals and 9. But against Arizona the last 3 years, 4 goals in 4 games, and you know eventually that he's going to get going. So why not against the Yotes? We still see a little bit of defensive struggle there. I know they've improved. But yeah, you gotta love that. And like you said, with the power play points, I mean, Montreal second in power play opportunities against, 25th in their percentage, 75%. So, I mean, there's plenty of angles to look here. I think the main thing to consider everything is the over, and sprinkle your favorite prop along the way.
Yeah. With how juiced things are getting with some of the bigger names in the league, these are the kind of types of teams you want to be looking for. So kind of younger up and coming teams that have some depth and they don't have a first line that takes up everything, you know, like Edmonton's tough at times because it's McDavid or Draisaitl, and then you got to keep your fingers crossed that Hyman or one of kind of the secondary options touches the puck before one of those two guys get in. And that's kind of an extreme example, but there's a lot of teams like that, and you just can't get the same value as you can on these like Montreal, Anaheim right now. Even Columbus, you're starting to see some more secondary guys that are hitting consistently and have good odds.
Well, and books aren't really adjusting. I mean, you're seeing
they never do with hockey too.
Michelli tonight for a point is -110. That's insane. McTavish -110.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys have been hitting every game, and you can still bet them at close to even money. I mean, the fact that Durzee's still plus money is ridiculous. As good as he's been and as productive as he's been. I mean, there's no value on Schmaltz and Keller as a straight, but these guys are involved too. It's not like these are the only guys producing for these teams. You just have to kind of dig a little deeper. But yeah, I think there's value to be had here.
Yeah, certainly agree. Last key matchup of the night, Winnipeg +142 at the Vegas Golden Knights -170. Over under set at 6. -108 to the over, -112 to the under here. Vegas 9-0-1 to start, 5-0-1 at home. Won their last 2 games after suffering their first loss of the season to Chicago. Carlson's been unbelievable. 9 points in 7 games here, 3 goals, 6 assists. Winnipeg comes in on a 2-game skid. Tough to bet anything Winnipeg related here. It feels like, from my perspective here, but I don't know how you guys feel about that. Betzky, any plays in this one?
I guess I'd probably. You know what? Now that I think about it a little bit more, because I'm with you. Winnipeg's been really a tough team to bet on. I feel like anytime I bet on somebody like Kyle Connor, I'm on the backside of it and he misses. Anytime I don't bet on him, he blows through his shots on goal line. I feel like I missed the Scheifele wagon, kind of going into like Franco, you ride it when it's hot. Right now that's cooled off and I missed it, and I just have to accept that. I don't want to keep on chasing something like that. So I've been having a tough time with Winnipeg. Vegas, I mean, Eichel's been a force for shots on goal, so that may be one to look right into. The other thing, though, that dawned on me as I first started saying how I didn't know how I felt about this is a little bit of a revenge narrative. So let's not forget Vegas knocked out Winnipeg.
Stomped them.
And you know who probably does?
They also beat them earlier this season.
Yeah.
They also played once this season too. Vegas won 5-3.
And I know that Vegas has been a powerhouse right now, but that streak's got to end. Maybe you can find some value on the Winnipeg money line. It's
Winnipeg,
scary.
Not for the faint
They
of
lost.
heart.
They lost in a
No.
shootout. Yeah, they lost in a shootout to Montreal and took New York to OT, but lost that one as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one of backing Winnipeg. I always have a hard time with them.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at 60-minute money line, Vegas minus 110 certainly seems like it could be a popular angle tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Franco, any plays for you in this one?
All right. First of all, draw plus 330. All right.
There it is. The first draw of the year.
Three of the last 5 for Winnipeg have gone to overtime. 3 of the last 5 for Vegas, including 3 in a row, have gone to overtime. So what the hell, right? Let's keep it tight. I like it. I mean, I would have to look a little bit deeper at their history, but let's see what happens here. I mean, plus 330, what the hell, right? It's both teams have been trending towards overtimes, playing tight. I mean, I don't know. I'm disappointed with, I guess, the goaltending. I know Brossoit's been meh. Hellebuck's been a little bit better, but overall, I mean, Winnipeg's been giving up a ton of goals overall this year. And I know they've been a little bit better on the defensive end the last few games, but I don't know. It's tough. I feel like the lines, too, for Winnipeg, ever since Velarde went out, it's been like just that top line just doesn't look as good with Iafallo out in there. So it kind of shifts everything up and makes everything a little more messy as far as that goes. And I think everybody's kind of feeling the effects of it. Kyle Connor's been always been a guy that's productive both ways, goals and assists. This year he has 2 assists. So that kind of just shows me that his line mates aren't really helping him. I know Scheifele's been pretty good to start the year as well, but on the surface, I was thinking, maybe a Connor assist prop in this game based on his history against Vegas. And then I see he only has 2 on the year. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of mind-boggling to me because he's always been productive passing the puck just as much as he is shooting it. So as far as props go, though, I'm probably going to be looking towards Morrissey point, Morrissey assist. We'll see where the lines are. Maybe we get some value on just a point prop. You know, I've been riding him a bunch, and he's still just super productive. Theodore props as well, point assist, whatever we get that's bettable. Another guy that's been red hot. I think as of now, he's keeping that top power play spot. I know going into the season it was Petrangelo's. Petrangelo went down, and Theodore kind of was very productive. So as of now, he's going to keep it, and they've been pretty good. So top power play, tons of minutes. He's just on the ice a bunch, so you got to love it. And Eichel has a pretty good history against them as well. So no goals in his last 3. Maybe he gets off the schneid. 4 goals and 5 against Winnipeg. Not a bad look there as well.
Yes, you mentioned Theodore too. Obviously, Winnipeg 29th in the PK, Vegas 11th on the power play. Theodore had 2 power play points last time these teams played. So that's certainly a look there. Eichel also scored, as you mentioned. And in terms of your draw, there's only 5-3 because Vegas scored an empty netter. So pretty much a tight game till the end. So Franco, looks like you're on the right track for that in terms of stats there. Any other plays or looks you guys want to give out before we wrap this up?
I mean, I think you can always just bet the puck line against San Jose until further notice.
Yep.
Vancouver. Yep. I'll admit it. I thought Vancouver was going to be a team that was going to miss out on the playoffs this year, be a fringe type team, and they look damn good to start the year. We'll see if they can maintain it. But yeah, I mean, Vancouver plus 120 on the puck line against San Jose tomorrow looks great to me. Just give me it every game until we see otherwise.
Yeah.
Were we talking about this last week? Were we talking about how the San Jose team feels like it may be the worst team we've seen in like the modern hockey
they're pretty bad. I mean, the other bad teams in the league at least like kind of show some life. Like Chicago, I thought was going to be worse than them, and they've shown some fight. Overall, obviously they got wrecked by the Yotes the other day, and that shows their upside of how bad they can be. But yeah, I mean, I think San Jose.
That was a prime letdown spot for Chicago, though.
Yeah, coming off that big game.
That was
so
the perfect letdown spot, though, after beating Vegas. Yeah, agreed. All right, you guys want to shout out your socials one last time?
Franco the Banker on Twitter.
Sure, I'm Gretzky Betzky's on Twitter and the Parlay Science Discord.
Awesome. As always, you can find the podcast on Twitter at ExpectedBets4. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next week.